In California, some towns don't fade, they freeze, leaving streets empty and buildings holding their own memories. Boarded windows, silent parades, and deserted churches whisper of lives abruptly abandoned. Drive off the beaten path and the world changes. GPS glitches, locals fall quiet, and warnings like "don't linger after dark" aren't jokes. Minds stand open, past disputes linger in shadows, and some places seem alive in ways you can't explain. One town enforced its own laws, another is said to curse those who take souvenirs. Think you know Erie? These are real towns where history refuses to stay buried. If you're loving this journey through California's creepiest towns, smash that like button and subscribe to Traveling Guide Hub for more real-life adventures you won't find anywhere else. 1. Bodie. The wind in Bodie doesn't rush, it whistles low and hollow, slipping through broken windows and warped doorframes like it remembers the people who once lived here. Even on a bright afternoon, the air feels thin and dry, carrying faint scents of dust, sun-baked wood, and rusted metal. The silence presses down, heavy and insistent, broken only by the creak of a loose sign or the crunch of gravel underfoot, making your heart jump at the smallest sound. Rangers often warn visitors, don't linger after sunset. Some parts of town still hold the imprints of the past. Bodie rose quickly after gold was discovered in 1859, attracting miners, gamblers, and drifters who settled disputes with a gun rather than words. By the late 1870s, the streets were alive with laughter, shouting, and the clatter of saloon doors, but also sudden screams and brawls that sometimes ended in bodies dragged from the floor. Fires, harsh winters, and declining ore eventually drove people away, but the lawless energy left behind a town frozen in danger and tension. Walking among the deserted buildings, you can almost feel the residue of chaos lingering in every doorway and alley, a reminder that the past never fully left. Whispers and unsettling shifts. Visitors often report subtle yet unsettling experiences that make you question what's real. In the old hotel, footsteps sometimes echo when no one is present. The schoolhouse doors slam when empty, and the playground swing shifts slightly long after the wind has died, making you glance twice. The sudden chill in certain rooms feels like a subtle warning you weren't expecting. It's never aggressive, just persistent, enough to make you aware of the weight of history pressing on you. As the sun dips behind Bodie's hills, shadows stretch across the streets, and the town seems to shrink into itself. And as you step away, one thought presses close. What happened to the miners who never left? Bodie is only the first stop. Other towns hold secrets of a very different kind. 2. Calico Ghost Town. The wind carries a metallic tang in Calico, sharp and dry, slipping across cracked streets and empty storefronts as if the town itself is holding its breath. Even on a sunlit afternoon, a faint chill lingers, and the distant creak of a swinging sign makes you flinch unexpectedly. Rangers often remind visitors, stay on the main paths. Some buildings still bear the weight of decades you shouldn't disturb. Founded in 1881, Calico sprang to life after silver was discovered in the Mojave Desert. Miners, merchants, and their families flooded the town, chasing wealth through narrow alleys and dusty boardwalks. Life here was far from peaceful. One story locals repeat tells of a miner who vanished without a trace after a night in the assay office. His tools were found neatly stacked the next morning, as if he had stepped out for a moment and never returned. Disputes over claims occasionally erupted in violence, and rumors of sudden deaths followed residents back to their boarding houses. Fires, falling ore prices, and harsh desert winters emptied the town, leaving behind streets frozen in both dust and memory. The chaos of its past still feels alive, as though the desert itself remembers. Visitors frequently report unsettling experiences that make you question what's real. In the old assay office, the wooden floor sometimes groans with footsteps when empty. Shutters rattle on days when the air is completely still, and the scent of silver-laden soil grows unexpectedly strong in certain alleys. A hanging sign swings gently long after the wind has died, making you glance twice. One subtle sensation is often mentioned, a quiet pressure on the back, as though someone or something is walking just behind you. It's fleeting, almost imperceptible, but enough to make the sunlit desert feel watchful, not empty. As the afternoon light fades, shadows stretch across the boardwalks, elongating saloons, shops, and mining tunnels. The town feels suspended between past and present, alive in memory, rumor, and something almost aware. Bodie was abandoned. Calico feels watchful. And as you step away, one thought presses close. What secrets linger in Calico's sun-baked streets, waiting for the next visitor to notice? It is only the second stop. Other towns along this California trail carry secrets darker and older, each with stories you may not want to witness firsthand. 3. Cerro Gordo. The desert sun beats down on Cerro Gordo, and the air smells of dried dust, metal, and something faintly acrid, like old fires that never fully died. Even at midday, a subtle heaviness lingers, pressing against your shoulders, as if the town itself is watching. The wooden planks of the boardwalk creak underfoot, and a wind chime tinkles somewhere in the distance, even when the air is still. Even the shadows seem to shift when you look away, as though the town notices every step. Rangers quietly remind visitors, stay on the main paths. Some tunnels are unstable, and the town keeps its own memories. Cerro Gordo was founded in 1865 after silver and lead were discovered in the Inyo Mountains. Miners rushed in, building homes, saloons, and supply stores along the steep hillsides. Life was harsh and often violent. One tale locals share tells of a miner who disappeared while hauling ore from the upper tunnels. His mule returned alone, harness intact, and the miner was never seen again. Other miners whispered of companions vanishing on the trails above, never to be found. As the veins of silver ran dry and economic collapse set in, Cerro Gordo emptied, leaving behind a town suspended between wealth and decay. Walking through it today, the steep streets and abandoned cabins carry the residue of ambition, greed, and sudden loss. Visitors frequently report subtle, unsettling moments. In the old general store, the floorboards sometimes creak under invisible footsteps. Doors open or shut long after being secured, and in the shaded alleys, the faint metallic scent of ore grows stronger, almost too sharp to ignore. A loose pulley near the mine shaft rocks gently, though no wind passes through. Some visitors report a creeping awareness, a sensation that unseen eyes track their movements along the boardwalk, making even the bright sunlight feel intrusive. It's brief, almost imperceptible, yet enough to make Cerro Gordo feel alive in a way that unsettles more than Bodie or Calico. As the sun begins to sink behind the jagged mountains, shadows deepen in the cabins and mine entrances. Cerro Gordo feels heavy, watchful, a town that has not yet released its hold on those who dared to claim its silver. Bodie was abandoned, Calico felt watchful. Cerro Gordo is both, and it is only the third stop. Ahead, other California ghost towns hold secrets darker and older, each with stories you may not want to uncover. 4. Panamint City. A dry wind sweeps across the Panamint Mountains, carrying the faint scent of dust, stone, and scorched desert air. The skeletal ruins of Panamint shimmer in the relentless heat. Even in broad daylight, the town feels uneasy, as if its empty streets are holding their breath. Rocks tumble faintly from the hillsides, and the distant groan of old timbers echoes through abandoned cabins. Shadows shift subtly when you glance away, as though the town is aware of your every move. Rangers quietly warn. The trails are unstable, and some structures could collapse at any moment. Watch your step and your surroundings. Panamint City was founded in 1873 after silver and gold were discovered in the surrounding hills. Miners flocked to the remote canyon, building a bustling town with saloons, hotels, and supply shops. Life here was harsh. One account tells of a miner who vanished while inspecting a recently dug shaft. His pack and tools were left neatly arranged at the entrance, but he never returned. Others whispered of violent disputes over claims. Some bodies were never found, leaving only faint stains of blood on the desert soil. By 1877, a catastrophic flash flood destroyed much of the town, forcing survivors to abandon the canyon. Today, Panamint City is a skeleton of rock, wood, and memory, frozen in time, yet never truly silent. Visitors often report unsettling, invasive sensations. In the old saloon, floorboards creak under footsteps that aren't there. Door hinges groan as if moved by unseen hands. A loose beam rocks gently in one of the cabins, though no wind passes through. Some describe a sudden awareness that the town itself follows their every step, eyes unseen tracing each movement along the boardwalk. The sunlight does little to comfort. Every shadow flickers, every ridge and rock feels alive, and the desert heat intensifies the unease. As the sun sinks behind the jagged canyon walls, Panamint's shadows stretch and twist, deepening the hollows where cabins and mines once stood. Bodie was abandoned. Calico felt watchful. Cerro Gordo was heavy. Panamint is different. It feels aggressive, aware, and unforgiving. And it is only the fourth stop. Along this California trail of ghost towns, more secrets await, some older, some darker, and some you may never want to uncover.
5. Randsburg. The wind rattles the wooden signs along Main Street in Randsburg, carrying the scent of dust, sun-baked timber, and faint metallic tang from old mining tools. Harsh shadows stretch across the old buildings, turning boardwalks and empty shops into stark lines that seem to shift when you look away. Even in daylight, the town holds its breath, as if it remembers every step you take. A tin roof clinks lightly somewhere, though no breeze stirs the air. Rangers quietly warn visitors, the ground can be unstable and some structures are unsafe. Respect the town, it keeps its own memory. Randsburg was founded in 1895 after a rich gold strike drew miners to the Mojave Desert. The town thrived quickly with saloons, a post office, and hotels lining steep streets. But life here was perilous. One miner reportedly vanished while traveling alone to inspect a nearby claim. His horse returned without him, saddle empty, leaving the town to whisper about what might have happened. Disputes over claims sometimes ended violently, with loaded revolvers common among miners protecting their gold. Fires and the harsh desert environment eventually emptied the town, but the tension from its lawless past never left. Walking through the narrow alleys today, you can feel the weight of ambition, desperation, and the sudden absence of those who once claimed this place. The faint smell of scorched wood and dried dust lingers in the air, adding to the oppressive sense that the town refuses to forget. Visitors often report subtle yet invasive sensations. Floorboards in the old saloon groan under footsteps that aren't there. Doors swing open slowly on still days. A tin sign above one of the shops rocks gently, though no wind passes through. Some describe a prickling along the neck, a sudden chill where the sun does not reach, and the unsettling sense that the town holds its breath, letting you know it remembers everything. Shadows twitch at the edge of vision, turning ordinary streets into something tense and unpredictable. As evening approaches, long shadows stretch across Randsburg's hills and alleys. The town feels alert, its history lingering in every creak and sway of the deserted buildings. Bodie was abandoned. Calico felt watchful. Cerro Gordo was heavy. Panamint City was aggressive. Randsburg is sharp, tense, and alive in its own way, and it is only the fifth stop. Along the California Trail at ghost towns, more secrets await, some darker, some older, and some you may never want to uncover.
6. Darwin. A dry wind carries the scent of dust, hot metal, and faint traces of charred wood through Darwin's sun-baked streets. The adobe buildings reflect the harsh sunlight, turning cracked walls and deserted boardwalks into a landscape of glaring lines and deep shadows. Even in broad daylight, the town feels deliberate, as if every creak of wood and sway of a sign marks your presence. Boards underfoot groan unexpectedly, and a tin roof rattles, though the air is still. Rangers quietly advise, some paths are unstable and the structures are fragile. Keep your distance and your senses sharp. Darwin was founded in 1874, rising around silver and lead discoveries in the Inyo Mountains. Miners, merchants, and their families flocked to the remote town, building saloons, boarding houses, and supply stores along uneven terrain. Life here was precarious. One story locals share tells of a miner who vanished while transporting ore to the mill. His cart was left at the edge of town, wheels still spinning, but he never returned. Accidents, sudden illnesses, and disputes over claims were common, often ending violently. As the mines ran dry and residents left, the empty streets absorbed the weight of greed, misfortune, and sudden departures. Walking through the cracked streets today, the sun-baked walls radiate heat against your skin, and every step stirs dust that rises like faint ghosts of the past. Visitors report subtle, invasive sensations. Floorboards sometimes groan under invisible weight. Doors swing slowly long after being latched. Shadows twist at the edge of vision, and some describe the streets themselves seeming to calculate your pace, each creak noting your presence. A prickling sensation runs along the neck, and a sudden drop in temperature near the adobe walls makes even the midday sun feel oppressive. The environment itself feels alive, as though the town is quietly measuring each visitor, noting hesitation and speed. As afternoon light fades, long shadows stretch across Darwin's hills and buildings, exaggerating every hollow and crevice. Bodie was abandoned. Calico felt watchful. Cerro Gordo was heavy. Panamint City was aggressive. Randsburg was tense. Darwin is sharper still, quietly vigilant, alert, and quietly alive. And it is only the sixth stop. Along the California Trail of ghost towns, more secrets wait, some older, some darker, and some you may never want to witness firsthand. As the sun descends below the horizon, the air takes on a chilling stillness. Uneasy feelings intensify in Darwin, a sharpening of the senses that brings the town to a watchful aliveness. And it is only the sixth stop. Along the California Trail of ghost towns, more secrets wait, some older, some darker, and some you may never want to witness firsthand.
7. Amboy. The sun hangs low over Amboy, casting long shadows across the cracked asphalt of Route 66 and the faded facades of the old general store and cafe. A hot, dry wind carries the scent of dust, asphalt, and faint desert sage. Even in daylight, the town feels suspended, as if the few remaining structures are holding secrets they have kept for decades. Doors of abandoned buildings creak softly in the breeze, though nothing moves. The asphalt radiates heat underfoot, and each step kicks up a small swirl of dust. Rangers quietly caution, some structures are unstable, keep to the main paths, and respect what remains of the town. Amboy was founded in 1858 as a mining camp, eventually growing into a small desert town along the famous Route 66. Miners and travelers alike came here, drawn by silver, lead, and the promise of a life in the desert. Life in Amboy was unforgiving. Stories tell of a shopkeeper who vanished one night, leaving coins still on the counter, never to return. Other accounts speak of violent disputes over water rights, brawls that left the streets stained and echoing for days. By the mid-20th century, Route 66 bypasses and economic decline emptied Amboy, leaving only a skeletal town with memories etched in its buildings and streets. Walking through it now, the sun-baked walls radiate heat, and the weight of ambition, greed, and sudden departures presses against every step. Visitors often report subtle, invasive sensations. Floorboards in the old cafe groan under weight that isn't there. Doors swing slowly on still days, and a faded sign rocks gently, though the air is calm. Some describe a prickling along the neck, a sudden chill near the sun-scorched walls, and the unsettling sense that the streets themselves measure your pace, each creak noting your presence. Heat waves ripple across the asphalt like something alive, and shadows stretch unnaturally, turning the sunlit streets into something quietly hostile. As evening falls, the sun dips behind distant hills, lengthening shadows across Amboy's streets and structures. Bodie was abandoned, Calico felt watchful, Cerro Gordo was heavy, Panamint City was aggressive, Randsburg was tense, Darwin was quietly vigilant. Amboy is patient, observant, and subtly hostile, a town that seems to weigh each visitor before allowing them to leave. And it is only the 7th stop. Along this trail of California ghost towns, more secrets lie ahead, some older, some darker, and some you may never want to uncover.
8. Bombay Beach. The smell of brine and decaying vegetation hangs heavy over Bombay Beach, mixing with the dry desert dust that drifts across the cracked shoreline of the Salton Sea. The water glints a sickly green under the afternoon sun, and abandoned trailers and rusting boats lean at odd angles, their shadows stretching long across the sand and broken boardwalks. Even when the wind dies, a subtle vibration seems to hum beneath your feet, as if the land itself is restless. Rangers warn visitors, structures are unstable and the shoreline shifts unexpectedly. Keep your distance and respect the history here. Bombay Beach was founded in the 1950s as a lakeside resort, a promise of leisure and life beside the Salton Sea. Families flocked here to swim, fish, and vacation in the desert oasis. But the town's fate changed quickly. Rising salinity, pollution, and severe flooding drove residents away, leaving homes abandoned and streets eerily quiet. Stories of families who left belongings behind, as if expecting to return, still circulate. One tale speaks of a small child lost near the shoreline who was never found, leaving a lingering sadness in the town's memory. Walking through the empty lots and tilted homes today, you can feel the weight of dreams that failed, the sudden emptiness pressing on every step. Visitors often report unsettling experiences. Floorboards of abandoned homes groan under invisible weight. Doors swing open slowly, even on still days. Some describe a prickling along the neck, a sudden chill near the water's edge, and the unnerving sensation that someone or something moves just out of sight, keeping pace with their steps. Rusting playground equipment creaks in place, though no wind moves the air, and the faint stench of brine seems to intensify when shadows stretch long across the sand. Even the water seems alive, reflecting distorted images of structures that shouldn't be there. As the sun sinks behind distant mountains, long shadows and the eerie green shimmer of the Salton Sea make Bombay Beach feel both fragile and watchful. Bodie was abandoned. Calico felt watchful. Cerro Gordo was heavy. Panamint City was aggressive. Randsburg was tense. Darwin was quietly vigilant. Amboy was patient, observant, subtly hostile. Bombay Beach is haunting, liminal, and quietly alive.
a town that holds memories of the past in every plank and puddle. And it is only the 8th stop. Along this trail of California ghost towns, more secrets await, some older, some darker, and some you may never want to uncover. 9. Trona. A bitter wind blows across Trona, carrying the sharp scent of minerals, dust, and faint chemical tangs from old mining operations. The sun reflects harshly off the salt flats, casting a glaring white light that blinds and disorients. Abandoned homes, weathered signs, and skeletal structures lean at impossible angles. Even at midday, a subtle heaviness presses against your shoulders, as if the town itself is silently observing. Wooden boards groan underfoot. A rusted gate swings with the faintest movement of air, and a pulley rocks gently from an old hoist. Old machinery casts jagged shadows that stretch unnaturally across the flats. Rangers quietly advise, the ground can be unstable and some structures are unsafe. Keep your distance and tread carefully. Trona was founded in 1913 as a mining town for borax and soda ash extraction. Families, laborers, and adventurers arrived seeking work in the harsh desert environment. Life was unforgiving. Accidents were common. Disputes over claims often ended violently, and some workers simply vanished in the flats or surrounding hills. One story tells of a miner who disappeared near the old processing plant, his tools left meticulously arranged, but his presence gone, leaving the community whispering about his fate for years. As mineral demand declined and environmental hardships worsened, residents left, leaving a town suspended between industry and desolation. Walking through the cracked streets today, the sun-baked salt flats radiate heat underfoot, and the weight of ambition, danger, and sudden absence presses on every step. Visitors frequently report subtle, unsettling experiences. Floorboards in the old company offices creak under invisible weight. Doors swing slowly on still days, and a faint metallic clang echoes across the flats. Some describe a prickling along the neck, sudden chills near the mineral fields, and the unnerving sensation that the town itself is following their steps, each creak and shadow marked in memory. Rusted signs sway rhythmically, old machinery looms in distorted shapes, and the stark salt flats reflect light in strange, almost hallucinatory patterns, intensifying unease. As evening descends, shadows stretch across the flats and buildings, exaggerating every hollow and jagged structure. Bodie was abandoned. Calico felt watchful. Cerro Gordo was heavy. Panamint City was aggressive. Randsburg was tense. Darwin was quietly vigilant. Amboy was patient, observant, subtly hostile. Bombay Beach was haunting, liminal, quietly alive. Trona is sharp, industrial, quietly threatening, a town that seems to remember every step you take. And it is only the penultimate stop. Along this trail of California ghost towns, one final location awaits, holding secrets darker than any before.
10. Salton City. The horizon shimmers with heat as you approach Salton City, the sun bouncing off cracked roads and abandoned beachfront homes. The air smells faintly of sulfur, dust, and brine from the nearby Salton Sea. A dry wind carries the echoes of creaking metal and broken wood, even when nothing moves. The sand crunches underfoot, and the faint hum of distant power lines adds an unsettling undertone. Rangers advise visitors, the ground can be unstable and many structures are unsafe. Keep to marked paths and respect the area's history. Salton City was built in the 1950s as a resort town along the Salton Sea, promising a desert paradise of beaches, boating, and leisure. Families and retirees flocked here, drawn by the novelty of a freshwater oasis in the middle of the desert. But misfortune struck quickly. Rising salinity, pollution, and periodic flooding destroyed the fish and made the water smell foul. Businesses closed, residents left, and the town became a shell of its former self.
One local tale tells of a young couple who vanished while exploring the lakeshore, leaving a picnic untouched, their disappearance still whispered about decades later. Walking through Salton City today, the abandoned homes and tilted trailers carry the weight of broken dreams, loss, and sudden departures, leaving an almost tangible residue of the past. Visitors often report subtle but invasive experiences. Floorboards groan under invisible weight, doors swing slowly without wind, and distant echoes ripple across empty streets. Some describe a prickling along the spine, sudden chills near the shoreline, and the unnerving sense that the town is aware of their presence, each movement silently recorded. Broken signs sway gently in the heat, and the greenish water reflects warped shapes, making shadows and angles appear distorted. Even the salt-crusted shoreline seems to shift under your gaze, disorienting perception and heightening unease. As evening approaches, long shadows stretch across the sun-bleached homes and empty streets, the acrid smell of brine intensifying. Bodie was abandoned. Calico felt watchful. Cerro Gordo was heavy. Panamint City was aggressive. Randsburg was tense. Darwin was quietly vigilant. Amboy was patient, observant, subtly hostile. Bombay Beach was haunting, liminal, quietly alive. Trona was sharp, industrial, quietly threatening. Salton City is desolate, unsettling, and strangely aware. A town that seems to remember everything, a haunting conclusion to this trail of California ghost towns. Walking away, you can't help but wonder which of these abandoned towns truly releases the people who enter and which keeps them forever in its shadow. Bodie's abandoned homes, Salton City's shifting shoreline, and the silent streets of countless others all hold echoes of lives abruptly ended, whispering their stories to anyone who dares walk their dust-laden paths. A faint wind stirs the dust across empty streets, carrying the scent of what was once alive here. And though these towns lie silent now, some secrets still whisper in the shadows, waiting for the next visitor to discover them. Which of these ghost towns would you dare to visit, and which would you leave behind forever?